There's an old saying in financial modeling: every model has an error in it. You just haven't found it yet. Errors happen and models blow up, typically at the worst moments, either right before a deadline or late at night when you're exhausted from working on a model. Don't worry, we've all received a dreaded error message or discovered a problem at the worst possible time. After all, one mistake is all it takes. Hello, I'm Jeff Schmidt, Vice President of Financial Modeling here at CFI. We're happy to have you join us for this course in auditing and balancing a three-statement model. We're going to cover some of the best practices to finding and fixing an unbalanced three-statement model. As part of this, we'll cover some Excel tools, tips, and tricks to make sure you find the issue every time. We'll also review some best practices for building transparent and error-free models. This is not, strictly speaking, a modeling course. This course assumes you have a strong handle on accounting and three-statement models. So please make sure you've been through our three-statement modeling course before taking this one. That's very important. Now let's dive in. Okay, by now you should have downloaded our template that we're going to be working through. And like most of our models, we always have a cover page, and this actually has multiple different worksheets in there, and we're going to go through each one. Again, we're going to start very simply, and then we're going to build up to more and more difficult and comprehensive examples, okay? But the first thing we want to discuss is what are some optimal Excel settings that you should check when you first get a model and you have to review it and figure out how it is imbalanced. So we do that by going to Excel options. And we always like using Excel shortcuts in this course, and all of our courses, frankly, because once you learn them, they're faster and you're less prone to error. So I'm going to go to Excel options. I'm going to use the shortcut Alt-F-T, and it takes me to options. I'll go down one, and you can see what we have here. We want to check our workbook calculations, first of all. Sometimes when you get a model, especially a large model, manual calculation will be set, and that's usually fine, again, for large models, but just be careful that this manual isn't accidentally set. Because as we go through and we find and fix errors, we want the results to update automatically. So we really want to select automatic in terms of a workbook calculation. The other thing I want to point out is this model is based off our main three-statement modeling model, and it has the same two circular references from that course. We have a circularity related to calculating interest income. We have a circularity related to relating to calculating interest expense. So because those circularities, those are intentional circularities, because they're present on multiple tabs in this model, let's go ahead and make sure that this box, Enable Iterative Calculation, is checked. By checking that box, Excel will calculate through the circularities. Now we'll come back and we'll talk about turning that off and seeing what happens. But for now, these are our recommended Excel options settings. Now, as part of this Excel options and this formula section, you'll see there's something down here called Enable Background Error Checking. And I currently have it turned off. But you can turn that on. It's really up to you. I'm not personally a big fan of it, but you can turn this on. And sometimes Excel will give you a heads up if it thinks there's something weird going on with your spreadsheet. And you can modify it, adapt it however you need to with these various error checking rules. So, for instance, formulas inconsistent with other formulas in the region. Okay. Now, let's just real quick turn that on, and let's see if it actually works that well. And when you enable that, you get these kind of green flags in the upper left-hand corner of a cell, a flag for lack of a better term. I'm going to go to our first model tab, and you don't need to do this. I'm just going to do this for demonstration purposes. So I'm going to change this formula. And so you can see in year 4, the calculation for gross profit uses a sum function. And in year 5, we changed it just to have revenues plus cost of goods sold. Of course, cost of goods sold is negative. So the math still works, but these are inconsistent formulas. And yet there is no the green error flag that pops up. So that background error checking, I'm gonna fix that real quick. That background error checking doesn't always work that well. And again, that's under Excel options, formulas, and down here. But if you want to use it, feel free. We just generally don't like it. And it's certainly not going to help us find a problem with a balance sheet that doesn't balance. Now, there's also a section on the Excel ribbon that we want to show you and show that it's not really that helpful either when trying to find the imbalance of a balance sheet. So if we go to formulas on the Excel ribbon, we've got a lot of options. And as we go through the course, we'll cover trace precedence, trace dependence, things like that. But let's look at error checking real quick. You might think, oh, this is going to solve everything, but it really doesn't help that much. So let's click the drop-down menu. I'm on the first tab, and let's just click error checking and see what happens. Okay, an error pops up, and it says this cell is not locked. Okay, that's really not an error, of course. It doesn't really help us. Now, if I did some quick math and I did 2 and then 3 and then did that plus that and deleted out a row, this would cause an error. And if I click the error checking, it will call that out. But this error checking tool only works when there's errors or when there's something weird. And again, it took us initially to this cell. It said the cell wasn't locked. Again, that's not really an error. So that error check itself on the formulas, on the Excel ribbon under formulas, doesn't really help a ton. Now let's go ahead and stay here on the formulas ribbon and error checking. And we want to take a look at circular references. And when I do the drop-down button, you can see that circular references is grayed out. I can't select it. And that's because under Excel options, we had that box check, enable iterative calculations. Let's go ahead and take that setting off. And we'll use the shortcut key Alt-F-T, go down to formulas, and then we'll uncheck enable iterative calculation. Just hit OK. And we get an error that pops up that says there are circular references in this file. Yes, there are. And now let's see what happens. We click the error checking dropdown. We see circular references. And it doesn't tell us exactly where the circularity is. We do know it's in interest income and interest expense, but it gives you a list of affected cells. Great, right? Not so fast. When you have multiple workbooks open at the same time, this circular reference error check can lead you astray. Let's take a look. Now, you don't have to do this. Just for fun, I also opened up the LBO model, and there's a lot of circular references in the LBO model. I'm still in the same file that we've been looking at. I'm on the first model tab. Now let's go and check out this circular reference tool on the Excel ribbon. Okay, scroll down, we go to circular references, and for some reason, even though I'm on the tab labeled 01 model, it's telling me to go to 04 model. So somehow that changed from 01 to 04 just by opening up a second Excel file. And then if I were to just go over to the LBO file, again, you don't have to do this. I just happen to have it open. And I do error checking. And there's plenty of circularities in this file. And do circular references. Even though I'm in the LBO model, it's actually referring me to the other model I was in. So when you have multiple workbooks open, this circular references tool under error checking really doesn't work very well. So if you want to use it, make sure you only have one Excel workbook open. So there's one more thing we want to show you on this error checking section of the model. But first, we had to disable iterative calculations in order to use that circular references feature on the formulas menu under error checking. But let's go ahead and turn the enable iterations back on so that the circular calculations are calculating properly. So again, do Alt-FT to go to Excel options. We'll go down to formulas, and then we can do Alt-I. You can hopefully see that the I is underlined for enable iterative calculations. So I hold down Alt, and then I click I, and I have re-enabled iterative calculation. Hit OK. Okay, now the circularities are being calculated properly. But you can see when I go back to error checking, it's grayed out again. But what we want to show you here, though, is the show formulas feature. And sometimes this can be helpful. The default setting in Excel is you see the results of all of the formulas. But you can also see all of the formulas themselves. So you can click Show Formulas, and look what happens. Everything gets converted or shown, really, as a formula. So this can be useful when you're doing a quick scan to see if anything looks weird. So the shortcut key for many of you is also Control tilde. Tilde is the key to the left of the 1 button on a keyboard shortcut. Or alternatively, of course, you can go to Formulas, Alt-M, and then H to show formulas. So really just depends on your preference. So we can use that show formulas if we need to do a quick scan of our formulas and see if anything's out of place.
Continue learning. Join CFI today.